Meet Nick Potter, an art teacher who's been inspiring and guiding students through the art world ever since I was in high school. So join us as we talk through how to reach students as a teacher and what we love about creating art. Remember to like and subscribe. Let's get into this episode of Convos with Aaron.
Well, Mr. Potter, thank you. I say Mr. Potter, Nick.
No,
Potter.
Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter,
Mr. Potter's
is that
fine.
good?
No, I'm kidding.
No, okay.
Whatever you want.
Thank you for coming on Convos with Aaron and talking about art, talking about, what you do.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for having me. I think I've never been on a real podcast. I've been on one for like class projects before. Yeah. At my last school, but this is the first official podcast. I think so.
How'd you get started into art?
I was 5 or 6. Got like my obsession with superheroes going. My grandmas would buy me the coloring books, the superhero coloring books, and I would color them. But then I would I think it started out as I wanted to color them again. So I would rip the pages out and trace them. Wow. And then color those. Then I would trace them again and I would color those. And then eventually it kind of, for me it started, and I think a lot of artists starts with muscle memory of just repeating those things. And then suddenly you just know how to draw Spider-Man or the Hulk. Those were the two that I drew the most. I didn't even like the Hulk that much. I just had it. So I was able to do that. And so from there, for me, I think my wife would say it's because I'm a Leo, which is probably true. I really liked to, in middle school, pull out a piece of paper, look what I can do, act all coy about it and shy, I can draw. So
I think superheroes too, it's so interesting you mentioned that it's kind of a gateway into so many different art forms, because as a kid, those are like your go-to people. I know, like Spider-Man, Hulk, Wolverine, those are my 3.
And they kind of segued into Star Wars too. I remember the first big project that I did in elementary art, which, I say big, it was probably like regular sheet of paper, but for me it was big. It was Star Wars Episode 3, so it had to be like 2005. And I drew Revenge of the Sith. I spelled revenge wrong.
Of course.
But I drew like every character I could remember from the movie on that sheet of paper. I probably could find it somewhere, but that's like my first memory of making a piece of art.
Yeah. I don't know how to spell revenge now. I'm gonna be honest. What made you get into teaching?
It wasn't really a thing that I pursued. But I got my degree in art, and the principal at a school, my first school, he called me in July, like the end of July, and said, hey, I noticed you got this degree, because he kind of kept up with me very minimally, not like a lot, but he had heard that I got a degree from the grapevine, I guess, and he's like, hey, what do you think about teaching digital art? And I was like, I don't think about that at all, because I had never held a camera at that point. I was more on paper. And I said, I don't know. I was looking to start a career. I'd give it a shot. And he was like, well, how do you feel about starting next week? Because I'm pretty desperate.
Oh my gosh. I remember, I think I was your second class.
Yes, you were my second year ever.
Yeah, and I will say you have a very unique teaching style. And
thank you.
It's a good thing. I say unique because you're able to relate to these kids that I've seen in a way that other teachers just aren't able to relate. And it's really cool to see that. And then also I credit your class and you for teaching me essentially a creative outlet for my creative energy. And I really do appreciate that. But I really connected with digital art. And now you're a regular art teacher.
Yes.
What would you say is the difference between digital arts and regular art? Is there a huge difference? I know in terms of medium there is.
Much less prep time. Okay. A lot more creativity. There's a lot of rigidity in teaching digital art, at least the first year, because there is a way to do everything. But I've noticed, even just this year, we're in week 6, I've noticed a huge difference in the ability to give an assignment and then watch them run wild, which is cool. I kind of expected that, but also I wasn't sure if I was ready to teach that, but it turned out it's a lot easier than I was kind of afraid it would be.
That's a really good point. Regular art has that ability and open-endedness. With Photoshop, a lot of times you are limited to what you can do in some ways. In other ways, not so much. But especially when you're learning it, it is so much more intimidating than just having a piece of paper in front of you.
A student who isn't comfortable with drawing is going to have a better time than a student starting Photoshop who's not comfortable with computers.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier to just go wild. Now, I do have those perfectionists still who will like be afraid to even like touch the paper. But,
Really?
yeah.
They don't even want to start because they're
Correct.
interesting.
Yeah. You want to know how I fight that?
How do you fight it? Yeah.
They have to draw the person in front of them without looking at the paper.
Okay, that's
And
cool.
they have to do it for like 2 minutes, and then they flip the paper and they do it again, and then they get another sheet and they do it again. It's like 4 or 5 times. It's called blind contour drawing, and it's supposed to create muscle memory.
Okay.
But it also it reinforces like the idea you don't have to be perfect, and that you can still create something cool. Because a lot of times it's not going to look good, but it will look interesting, and that is a really easy way to unlock their like fear, I guess, or like get past
Their
that.
wall, essentially. Yeah, their social wall. No, that's cool. Do you have like a specific way you go about like teaching, like in terms of interacting with students, or does it just come naturally when you do it?
It comes naturally because I have thought about this myself, because other teachers, not to toot my own horn, other teachers will come to me and say like, how do you connect with this kid or so and so? Like, I'm having trouble. Like, I don't know, I just do.
You just do it, yeah.
I think I'm funny.
You're very funny, yeah.
Thank you. Outside of the work setting, I am completely content, happy. I have a beautiful wife, beautiful son, beautiful home. My pets love me. Everything's great. So if I make, let's say I make a joke and the kids don't think it's funny, I don't care. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And I'm going to laugh at myself. And usually that kind of gets past the kids who think they're too cool for my class, or the kids who I upset because of a certain assignment or grade or whatever that may be. And then other teachers will, they'll be confused, like, well, how did you get them to listen and do their work? I'm like, I don't know.
Just be cool with it.
Yeah. Be nice.
And now let's look at some of the students' artwork.
This is one of the first big projects we did with my Art 2 kids. In Art 1, they did cartoon character grids, and I thought jumping from a cartoon character to a real person would be a fairly appropriate challenge, while also keeping it in line with something they've done before. So we do sketchbook assignments in this class, not every day, but most days. So we did, for this lesson, we were shading in black and white, so they did a bunch of practice shading from light to dark and a few different exercises showing the difference between just outlines and just shading and how they kind of need to go together to make something final. And then the classic sphere study. And then I called this the shadow swap, which was just drawing and shading something and giving it a shadow that was different. This student has a pretty unique style. I think it's kind of cool. It's very messy, but also sticks with the assignment and kind of creates something. Even though it's messy, it kind of turns into something really cool at the end. I think a shadow project really lends itself to that. So the final thing they did was this grid assignment. And it's just, this is a half and this is a whole, so every half inch is an inch on the final. And then they can either cover the paper and do one row at a time, or you can shoot your shot and just try to draw the whole thing. I feel like this one was pretty successful. A bunch of these were successful, actually.
Let's get back to the convo.
Just the idea of, there is something that is interesting about the idea of students connecting with something that's non-traditional.
Typically, I don't show examples when I give them an assignment, because I think that locks their brain to be specific to what I showed as an example. So I usually don't.
Yeah.
But this is supposed to be their 45 minutes in a day that they know they can come in and have a good time. Yeah. So I think to me that might be the most important thing when it comes to teaching, is giving them that outlet, that creative freedom, where they don't feel like the entire day was just drilling information into their brains.
By the end of the day, no matter who you are, it's going to wear you down, especially at that age too, where you have a limited amount of, I'd say, patience.
Yeah.
And that's not discrediting people that age. I just think that's just the truth. I think I look back at that and I feel like I was very patient. Like I was okay at patience, but still by that third class was already getting tired.
Yeah, you had to get up and do it at like 6 a.m. too.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's frankly disturbing how, I don't know. In terms of teaching or just personal, what would you say is your favorite form of art?
Pencil and paper, which is such a boring answer.
Yeah.
I understand that. When I'm doing it, pencil and paper, because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
I'd say my favorite kind of art to like ingest and look at is comic book art that has been done traditionally.
Okay.
My favorite artist is Paulo Rivera. He is a comic book cover artist for the most part because he doesn't have time to do the interiors because he legitimately paints his comic book covers, and you can tell they're really good. So, and as far as digital art, because they are different, by far my favorite is interesting minimalism. Stuff that has like some cool negative space going on, or just really simple shapes that turn into something cool. If you can trick the mind into seeing something that's not there, I don't know, like those optical illusions, but then it's just like a logo. Like you probably don't remember this. I used to gush about the FedEx logo all the time because there's the hidden arrow in the EX. And I'm like, genius! Who came up with that?
Or don't get you started on the Baskin Robbins logo then, right?
Right. I love stuff like that.
No, I do too. I think that's really fun. And I would consider myself a designer, but I still don't have the quite knowledge that it takes to be able to. And I'm sure if I played around with it enough, I could do negative space stuff. But to be able to do it and do it well, where people do recognize it, that's impressive. Because you can do negative space, but bro, what do they think it is? It's like a potato? No, it's supposed to be an ice cube, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I don't feel like I know enough about graphic design to be a designer, and I taught it for 7 years.
It is a different thing from teaching it and learning about it than actually creating it.
Oh yeah.
You learn through creating, but also at the same time, like I still don't know half of the key commands for Premiere or Photoshop.
Sure.
So.
And I think that I'm totally content and comfortable with the fact that I am a teacher rather than an artist.
Yeah.
I am both, but I think I'm better at teaching and getting an idea out than I am creating it myself.
Yeah.
Like I can't even tell you, when we get to clay, I cannot sculpt to save my life, but I'm going to teach these kids how to do it, and they're probably going to come up with stuff that I never could.
Yeah.
And I felt that way about Photoshop a lot too when I was teaching it, because I was pretty good. I knew all the commands. I know how to fix somebody's face in a photo. Fairly good at editing.
When it comes time to actually creating, you learn through, like, I know this sounds corny, but literally creating.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. And you know, what was funny too is once I got that down, that I learned that you learn through creating, it helped me when I learned video editing too. Yeah. Because it's like, well, okay, I can go through this process again. I just put repetition into this, and then I'll be okay at it, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. And I was about to ask too, how do you balance like criticism? Because they need it to grow.
So I make it very clear to them at the beginning, because I teach art 1, 2, and then as the school grows, we'll do an art 3. But I know that it's a graduation requirement to have this class.
Okay.
So I don't think it is fair to tell a student they're going to fail because they can't draw. Because I have to teach, theoretically, every student in this school will take art. Do you think every student is good at art?
Yeah.
No. I give parameters before I give each project, and the parameters are very simple, like things that anybody can do.
Yeah.
It's not how well did you draw something. It's did you keep your paper clean, and are the lines like not smudged? Yeah. And did you put 3 colors on it because it requires 3 colors? So the grade, they will get 100, but I also tell them up front, I'm going to tell you what this grade actually should be and what you would get if you were trying to be an artist. Yeah. So they get their 100 or 85, 90 typically is where we land, because they want us to grade with challenge in mind, so where they can improve something.
Well, and I'm sure there's like a spectrum of, the student really wants to do this kind of thing, or they're really interested, to somebody who's not. I'm sure you give a lot more feedback to the people who probably would benefit from it more in terms of that. Yeah.
I don't know if I would say more.
Okay.
I give everybody about the same amount of feedback, but then those students will come to me to ask for more, and I make that very apparent too. I'm like, guys, I have 150 sketchbooks to grade this weekend.
Yep.
I'm just going to put a smiley face if it looks good. If you want to know more, come see me. And then during class, they'll come up and like, what did you think of this one or this? And like, if something's really egregiously wrong, I will like put like a see me about this or whatever.
I'll tell you what, that was the one thing that I always struggled with in your class, was drawing it before I designed it. Because for me, and that's not the case for this, I can imagine, but for me, like I said, drawing was such a challenge for me. And so I was like, man, I do better like working through Photoshop than I do drawing. But later, as I analyzed it and realized it is a key component of how you structure your project. Because to do things efficiently in the job market, like design or something like that, you have to have some sort of a game plan, so you can, because you have a deadline. And there's only a certain amount of wiggle room you can do in some projects, even art projects.
Yeah, that one's hard to articulate to the students why it's important, but it really is. If nothing else, it's a good way to get the bad ideas out of the way. So that you can. And I don't remember. I think I probably used to require 5 to 10 sketches before you started on the computer.
I think so. Yeah. I think after the third, it killed me. But
because you put the first idea down and you're like, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and start. That's what you want to do. And I was the same way. In college, they made us do. Some of the professors would say, "Bring me 30 thumbnail sketches, and then I'll let you start."
Oh my gosh, that's brutal. I mean, it makes sense in a way. 30's a lot, but that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, 30 was too much. I stand by that. But I do think thumbnail sketches are very important for lots of reasons.
Mr. Potter, because I'm going to keep calling you Mr. Potter, what would you say is your purpose?
To circle back to something I said earlier, I think my purpose is to be a place where students can come and create in a relaxing setting. The safe haven of the school, if you will. A place where anybody can come and hang out and enjoy their day for a little bit, take a break, and draw or paint or sketch, sculpt, whatever. And that's how I treated my digital class as well. It's the one time you could come in to school and not worry about homework and tests and stuff like that. So I think that would be my purpose.
It's really cool. It's honorable too. It's cool to hear. I know we live in the now, and it's important to live in the now and live it day by day. But do you have like a career goal that you're like, man, if I could hit this?
Career goal, it's not something that I like strive towards or claw my way to the top for, is Teacher of the Year. I want a Teacher of the Year. I do, because lots of teachers that I look up to have gotten Teacher of the Year, and I don't feel like that means that you've made it, but I do think there's something to be said about a Teacher of the Year. And secondary, a silly goal, I also designed the yearbook here, and every year in the yearbook I have hidden a picture of my son.
Jimmy?
Yeah, and I want to do that until he is in high school.
That's sweet.
And like he's here and I'm hiding. I don't have to hide it anymore because he's just at school and he's getting his pictures.
I also got a chance to sit through one of Mr. Potter's classes where they were creating scrapbooks. It was super cool how everybody had a different interpretation or idea of what they wanted to do. And then also Mr. Potter like guiding them through that. That was really fun to see. And I was just lucky enough to be able to capture some footage too of it. Let's get back to the convo. Well, thank you for letting me get a chance to sit through one of your classes.
Oh, sure.
It was really cool to see, and getting some footage of the students kind of going through their process in a short amount of time, just being able to articulate themselves. And a lot of them were goofy, a lot of them took it serious. That, like we talked about, that's the kind of the power of, I would assume, just being able to create whatever you want in these very thin parameters, essentially.
Yeah, they know where kind of my limit is when it comes to goofing off. I'm totally fine with cracking jokes and being silly, goofy, as one might say. But they kind of know where my limit of patience is, and they still get their work done.
Yeah.
That's the important thing to me. Because, like you said, everybody tackles it differently.
Yeah.
Some people are like really serious, and some people are too serious, and they like ask me a bunch of questions like, "Am I doing this right?" It's a collage assignment.
Yeah.
There's not really a right in it. That's kind of hard to articulate sometimes with students, especially those who are not familiar with art but still want to do like that traditional book smart good job.
Yeah, which you can't really do. Right. No, but it was cool to see because like I said, it was a lot of them had finished products in like 30 minutes of being able to do stuff. And I think that can attest to how you probably do assignments and how you pace them out. I know 45 minutes is kind of hard to just structure a class around every day. How do you get by with that? Just planning?
Like today, for example, they have to create a organic composition and a geometric composition. So it's just broken down into 2 days.
Yeah.
And theoretically, you would want them to do both one after the other so they can see the difference and like hammer it into their brains better.
Yeah.
You just work with what you have. So they did the organic one today, and tomorrow they'll do the geometric one.
That's cool.
The only time it becomes a bigger issue is once we get into, like, for instance, clay or painting, things that take time to get out and put up and make sure it's not drying out or making a huge mess.
That is an interesting limitation that I didn't have when I was in school, when I was in your class. We had an hour 30.
Yeah.
And sometimes it felt too long. Sometimes we were just milling around on the computers.
I agree. But overall, for a school, I think the 45 minutes is just slightly better.
Yeah.
Because of with today's kids, I just sounded like the oldest person I've ever met. Back in the day. Yeah. No, today's youth, they just have shorter attention spans.
They do, yeah.
I think it makes more sense to hit them with little bits of knowledge every day.
That's cool.
Rather than trying to force them to sit still for an hour and a half.
That's cool.
And art is the same way. Like, I don't want to sit and draw for an hour and a half, usually. Yeah. Sometimes I'll hit a groove, but most of the time I want to step away and take a break.
That's true.
And even when we do big projects, I showed you some of those celebrity portraits. Yeah. The way that worked was on the first day, I explained it to them and had them choose their celebrity, and we printed the smaller image. If they had time, they worked on the grids, but if not, that was a Monday. So then Tuesday through Friday, I just said, look, this is what I want Friday at the end of class. And that really helps out too, because everybody is at a different pace. Some students may have the worst time ever focusing during school with their friends, and then they'll take it home and bring back a masterpiece. Yeah. And that's fine. It just, whatever works for different kids. That's another great thing about art, is everybody approaches it a little bit differently.
Well, it's cool too that you recognize that, because a lot of teachers, they like giving homework, but they don't necessarily like kids working on assignments that are supposed to be in class outside. Yes. That to me, I have conflicting emotions about that. But I mean, not because, and you briefly mentioned it, not everybody learns or completes things the same way. A lot of times they get distracted or confused because they're goofing off or something like that, which, I mean, to not expect kids to goof off, that's just kind of ridiculous to me. Yeah, but that's cool. It's cool you have the temper to be able to handle it.
Sure, I think homework is a waste of time for the most part. Yeah. Sure, every now and then maybe they need to go outside and draw something that's not in this room. Yeah. Maybe a math project went longer and needs a little bit of extra time. But every day, homework just for the sake of homework, I think is a outdated concept.
I think so. And coming from college, it is an outdated concept after doing hours of it. But it makes sense if it's a part of your career. Although I think it does teach like a bad idea of taking your work home, which I think is something that people do way too often and can really mess up your work-life balance if possible. I just sounded like a LinkedIn quote right there.
We've always been a LinkedIn kind of guy. Yeah.
What makes me a LinkedIn, you think?
I know this podcast isn't about you, but you have always had a certain drive towards like, what's the next thing that's going to further where I want to go? I mean, Are your viewers allowed to be privy to your taco days?
No, we did an episode with Taco Taco like a couple days ago.
Yeah, you won that award for the best display.
I actually did.
Because it was the best display.
Yeah, it was.
There was no question about it.
And my mom is half to credit that because she was like the creative director of that board partially. She's like, we're going to get frames and we're going to make sure that everything that you design looks good. And then shout out mom.
That's it. And like all the way to, seeing the projects you did in Mr. Holt's class and to here. So probably the Leo in me speaking again. There's a certain amount of pride to see my student, even though I did not teach you a single thing about cameras and video work.
No, but like I said, your class and your teaching did help me get used to the creative process. And I think without Photoshop, I don't know if I would be able to navigate Premiere. I mean, they're made by the same people, and they'll have certain similarities to them.
Photoshop is the baby steps.
That opened the door for me to not be intimidated by creative software, with the exception of Adobe Illustrator, because I still get intimidated by Adobe Illustrator.
Same.
It's too open-ended for me, and I guess that's probably why. But that being said, thank you so much for pouring into me as a student, and now giving me the opportunity to see you teach in like a different setting, but also still felt very similar.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Sure, absolutely. It's always heartwarming to see students actually use the things that you tried to teach them.
Yeah.
And even to hear earlier when you said that you understand now the benefit of thumbnail sketches. Like
I do.
Wow, that's all I wanted.
Yeah, I think, and seeing the benefit in things and always trying to challenge, okay, what was my view back then, and more importantly, was I wrong back then? Was something I liked or didn't like really just me at the time not understanding it? And that's a long-winded answer to say I did appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciated it. And I appreciated you pushing us to try things that we didn't necessarily like a whole lot either. Like I remember, for example, like I said, I hate Illustrator. You're like, we're going to do Illustrator. I said, why are we going to do Illustrator? He said, because you got to learn it. It's it's an industry standard.
That's right.
But even then, I'm still able to articulate myself in Illustrator because of that. So like I said, again, I appreciate your teaching and pushing us in all the right ways to grow, to communicate with ourselves. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
You can pay me later.
Do you take Venmo, Cash, Zelle, or
Venmo,
check?
Cash. Here's all my. I'm not plugging my social.
Venmo?
Plug my.
I mean, you can if you want to.
No.
We're hitting the end yet again, and I'm trying to do weekly as much as possible. So if you want to subscribe, you can absolutely do that, and like and share. We would love for you to do that too. But if you know somebody or you yourself would like to be on the show, you can email us at convoswithaaron@gmail.com, and we would love to have you on. I always travel to the guests. It makes it fun, exciting for me to do it. And yeah, I just have a blast. So thank you, Mr. Potter.
Thank you.
All right.